Hi everyone, Ravatogh Research Team here. Today we're laying out our theory on the newly added Menace Dungeon Monoliths. To quickly sum it up, we suspect these monoliths are telling Ardyn's tragic origin story. Buckle up kids, it's gonna be a wild ride. With the Royal Pack update, 23 new monoliths have been added to the Menace dungeons, and boy oh boy, do they add some much needed lore to these repetitive, god-awful slogs of dungeons. It would be easy to assume the monoliths are telling the story of the founder King Somnus, who is none other than Ardyn's brother, but several lines just do not match up to Somnus and what we all know of his personality and deeds, but who they do match up to is Ardyn. Reading all 23 monoliths in one go makes it crystal clear that this is one man's account of his life. And indeed, that must be the case because of the description of the Sealbreaker's key. One king and his oracle are responsible for the Menace dungeons. Another note that points to one author is that the tone and writing style stay consistent throughout. It has a very flowery, poetic flow to it all, which is very similar to Ardyn's way of speaking. Ardyn always makes a point to be very proper and well-spoken, sometimes even spouting prose.
Aren't nursery rhymes curious things? Like this one. From the deep the Archean calls. Yet on deaf ears the god's tongue falls. The king made to kneel in pain, he crawls. The once helpless and hapless prince, is he now ready to claim his crown? Don't let us down.
So the monoliths seem to be in order of this person's journey, and the first one lies in Kikatrich Menace Dungeon. It addresses that yes, demons are a problem that have plagued mankind throughout time, and this person intends to do something about it. He goes on to say that the only method they have is to seal the demons deep underground and await the King of Light. So if this is indeed Ardyn who left these monoliths, then why does he feel he can't dispel the darkness? Why is simply just sealing the demons away his only recourse? He was the crystal's chosen one after all. Well, that mindset makes sense if he left these monoliths after his fall from grace. So let's keep this self-defeating tone in mind as we continue through the monolith's tale. The second, third, and fourth monoliths bring to light that not only did the author have the oracle traveling with him, but he also had 3 companions. But sadly, it seems that his 3 bros died early on in his journey. His pain over the loss of his bros is immense, but he resolves himself to carry on, for he is a king, and a king cannot avert his eyes from what lies ahead. So he's a king, guys. But isn't the whole deal with Ardyn that he never got to ascend the Lucian throne, and his brother Somnus stole it all from him after his fall from grace? So if Ardyn never became king, that automatically eliminates him as the author of the monoliths, right? But with some sleuthing, we discover in Ardyn's bestiary entry that he must have indeed been a king of something, because he had subjects. We venture to guess that perhaps the founding of Lucis happened adjacent to the time of Ardyn becoming chosen by the crystal, Ardyn eventually being rejected by the crystal, and the subsequent events that follow, Somnus claiming the throne instead, taking on Ardyn's accomplishments as his own, and villainizing Ardyn. Well, these are all a result of choices Ardyn made, choices we learn about through upcoming sets of monoliths. It's the 6th monolith, Papyrus Haven, where the author's words begin to bring his identity to light. The impact of the opening line of, "These cages are a closely guarded secret of our line," is threefold. Firstly, it eliminates Somnus as the author because as the first king of Lucis, there was no line before he and his brother. Secondly, at the time the monolith was made, in order for the Menace dungeons to be a secret to the line of Lucis, then this must be at least a few generations of rulers in, for it to be considered a line of rulers. Thirdly, the author's tale is about the creation of the Menace dungeons, which is touted as an accomplishment of the founder king. This clue is the smoking gun. Not only does it cement that the author must be a Lucis Caelum, but that he must also be immortal. in order to know all these details of the Founder King's journey, yet to be writing it at a time where a line of Lucis has been established, well, this eliminates everyone but Ardyn. Pauperous Haven also begins to bring the author's doubt over his actions to the surface. He acknowledges that creating these dungeons is costing the life of the Oracle, and if his subjects found out the truth of these dark cages, they would surely revolt. Not only that, here's that self-hating attitude again. He wants to rot and to be forgotten. He considers himself a failure already. And it continues on. The next few Monolith entries showcase his crumbling self-esteem. He begins to question the gods, calls himself a coward, and considers his only redeemable quality to be that the Oracle loves him. And he clearly loves her in return. Several of the monoliths are simply love poems he dedicated to her. But once we reach the monolith's Astalith Grove, his fate begins to spiral out of control. The monoliths there account for a failed expedition that he goes to investigate with the Oracle. Upon reaching the waters of the Vesper Pool, all hell broke loose. The Spranog and Heppelkamp monoliths tell the tale of these two unfortunate souls. The waters of the Vesper Pool had turned a sea of fire. Smoky, swirling billows had enshrouded all the mire. Searing bolts of lightning crackled downward from the skies, yet 'twere not clouds but wings that soared before my very eyes. Were our foe the scourge of stars, it could have been purified, yet this menace was no demon that we soon descried. The Oracle I loved was slain, and with our flags she burned. Beleaguered and bereft, to the forest I returned. How could the Oracle have fallen here? So many of the monoliths praised the Oracle for her great strength and prowess in battle. But the answer to this question is a perfect example as to why we love Final Fantasy XV so much. Final Fantasy XV's story is told through many platforms and layers, and answers to the riddles can often be found in unlikely places. And the answer to how the Oracle fell to this beast lies in one such unlikely place, the Comrades DLC. There's a mission called Quetzal Slaughter, which has you fighting off a Quetzalcoatl, and you guessed it, the Vesper Pool. Most of this battle must be fought in the air, using warp strikes as much as possible, because not only is it flying around, but it is constantly electrifying the water. Anyone facing this beast without the ability to warp would quickly succumb to its attacks. It's obvious Ardyn was only able to survive because of his ability to warp strike, and the next monolith tells of the aftermath of that fateful battle. With the rains that fall upon the earth and nurture life also come the bolts of lightning, couriers of strife. Though man can't curb the fearsome whims that rule the natural world, against the beast the white flag of defeat needn't be unfurled. Looking to the Oracle for guidance in these trials, I realized we might defeat the menace with our wiles. First we draw the devil down and seal it in a cage, then entrust its exorcism to the coming age. Until an heir arises to succeed the life she led, her staff in hand, I shall become the Oracle in her stead. Do you guys realize what just happened here? Not only did the person telling this tale lose their final companion and soulmate, but he has made a huge decision. A decision that would not only forever change his fate, but the fate of the planet itself. Everyone always wondered why it was Ardyn that was going around healing people, doing the Oracle's job. Well, here it is, literally etched into stone. And what a tragic tale it is. He could have run away or done any number of other things at this point, but no. He finally found the resolve of a true king. He took on the Oracle's mantle, and with it, the double duty of not only leading his people, but healing them too. But for all his toils, it is still not enough to protect his people. The Crestfall monoliths lament about a monstrous threat, Manxum. Its power so great, it was able to turn an entire area into stone with just one glance. It's clear that the people of this era lived in constant fear of foes, beasts, and demons alike. But now this terrible creature, worse than any of the beasts before, comes right to Ardyn's doorstep, threatening the final bastion of peace. Which brings us to the last set of monoliths within Castlemark Dungeon. These last 5 accounts show a drastic shift of resolve. With the threat of night knocking on his door, Ardyn sets out to find the secrets of the ones who came before. Showering the ancient people of Solheim with praise, it is clear that Ardyn believes that an answer to his problems lies within the crumbling tower. However, fate has dealt Ardyn another losing hand. Instead of finding the wisdom of his forebears, he stumbled upon some unimaginable evil. Something so evil, it shook him to his core. Deep beneath the earth where rays of sunlight cannot reach, encased in walls of stone the gods themselves could never breach, laid a trove of knowledge, so we thought, yet what we saw was a terror out of time that left us all in awe. The menaces that lurk beneath us mustn't be released, lest upon the innocents the beasts begin to feast. Our forebears found the fiends below, and down here they must stay, hidden from humanity and from the light of day. My full pursuit of knowledge has cost countless men their lives. Should such a selfish ruler be permitted to survive? Nay, I say, and thus I humbly offer up my life, to forge another cage and save the future from more strife. Heed my words, O future king, and follow not my path. Walk only in the light, or ye shall know the darkness' wrath. This final account, we believe, holds the answer to Ardyn's immortality. Whatever it was that he faced down there was so fearsome that he saw no other recourse than to offer up his life in order to subdue it. That final cage he speaks of, could that cage be his own body? It would make sense if what Ardyn found in the depths of Castlemark was the very source of the Star Scourge itself, and by absorbing the very essence of evil into his body, he became the cage that would seal away the darkness until the coming of the King of Light. It's probably easy to deduce what happened next. With Ardyn being a vessel of darkness, he can no longer draw on the crystal's power. The crystal houses the soul on the planet itself. If it were to allow Ardyn into itself, the crystal would be letting in the very plague that is threatening its existence. And with the crystal's rejection, Somnus likely had no choice but to drive his brother out of the kingdom. Again, a random thread adds another layer to this story. Look at the description of the Blade of the Mystic. The blade's description is a summary of the story we're told in the Monoliths. It's very possible that this sword was in fact Ardyn's during his rule, and this description is about him, not Somnus. It's only attributed to Somnus because he overthrew Ardyn's throne and wrote Ardyn out of history. However, we know that Ardyn still considers himself a king. Ardyn may no longer sit on the throne, but he still has a duty to protect his people. And with the immediate threat now sealed within his own body, we believe he set out on a lonely journey to find answers. Answers he found in an unlikely place. That's it for us today. What did you guys think? Do you think the monoliths are telling Ardyn's backstory? Or do you think they could be something else entirely? We really hope you enjoyed this theory. We're hard at work on our next video, all about episode Gladio and how it ties into everything we talked about today and more. We look forward to seeing you all there. Thanks for watching.